Okay, folks, Monday the 15th of April 2024, and this is the week ahead brought to you by Financial Juice, a fantastic news squawk service, and Earn to Trade. Right, let's get into looking at the calendar. And obviously, there's been a huge amount of geopolitical tension over the weekend, but we will get to that in a second when we're more so looking at the charts. Anyway, this week, kind of a stop-start sort of a week. Today, coming up, we have core retail sales and retail sales. They're coming up in 22 minutes here in GMT time. This is going to be interesting. Certainly, I think we're going to have impact on the markets here. Tomorrow, Fed's Chair Powell will be speaking at 6:15. He probably is going to be questioned very sternly, I think, on their cut or their cutting policy and their policy at the moment, because the market has kind of gone from those 5 or 6 cuts at the start of the year to potentially a cut, or 5 6 cuts to potentially a hike now, right? And so Wednesday, CPI's out of Eurozone, 10 a.m., and then crude oil. So nothing crazy there. But Thursday, the big one this week, initial jobless claim set to come out as a small rise there, 212 prior, 211. Also get Philly Fed manufacturing and existing home sales. But the big wig this week is that initial jobs on Thursday. So let's kind of keep our focus, where it should be for our trading energy for the week. And obviously, I talked about this in a report I put out there today, was that, the market is probably going to try and position and pre-position into that. So, all right. So let's get over onto the macro stuff. And, I got 3 articles. Actually, just before I go on to the macro, I want to look at the earnings picture here. Transition over here and to what we have today, Schwab. We have set to come out here for earnings, Goldman Sachs, and that's kind of it for today. Tomorrow, well, really looking through this week, you've got United Health coming this week as well. Big cap in the Dow. Procter and Gamble, J&J, Bank of America, Netflix, Abbott Labs, American Express, Morgan Stanley, and then Goldman Sachs. So that's all coming this week. Schlumberger as well for the oilies. So keep an eye out for that. Travelers as well, which is a big stock for day trading equities guys. They love to hit that one. But that's kind of, Kinder Morgan as well for the oilies. So, a couple of interesting ones coming through this week in terms of earnings. All right, so just something I wanted to look at is, or show you, is this the VWAP report. Well, the VWAP report, which is now one I'm going to be putting out weekly on Substack. And we're also going to be emailing this out to subscribers, obviously via Substack. But we're really just looking, I'm really just doing analysis on, at the moment, SPOOs, Dow, NASDAQ, and oil at the moment. All right, so this is really utilizing, a couple of higher time frame VWAPs where I'm focusing on like maybe yearly VWAP in confluence with weekly VWAP, or sometimes I'm going to be looking at a monthly VWAP, wherever I see the best trading opportunities and the clearer picture is what I'm going to be putting into this report. And so please do click the link in the descriptor below to subscribe to that report. There will be a free report. This report should be free to all subscribers at the moment for this week ahead here. So, go and check it out. It would be really great to get a conversation going as well on what people are looking at here. So do. All right. In terms of the metals complex, I saw this was really interesting, and it's another sort of geopolitical 1-2 from the powers that be, right? So that Russia and China, they're dating, they've been out to dinner, they've been to the movies, they like to kiss and cuddle, maybe there's a late night call between Putin and Xi Jinping. They're friendly, but they're not really, in bed together, right? But they're friendly. So what we've seen here through this year so far, now the black line going up and to the right is the Chinese copper stock levels, right? So they have been buying, like it's going out of fashion, copper stock levels. At the same time, what came out yesterday, I think, on the news was this. Metals whipsawing as sanctions on new Russian supplies rattle LME. Now, the sanctions have come down on aluminium, nickel, and copper. All right. So China has been basically hoarding all the copper they can, and probably a bit of aluminium, nickel as well. And they knew that this was going to come. Essentially, this the restrictions here on Russian aluminium, nickel, and copper. All right, so I do have a read of this article. It's pretty interesting. If you trade any of these precious metals, you absolutely 100% to have to be looking at this article. All right, absolutely 100%. Another thing I wanted to look at, and this will lead us and segue us into what's happened over the weekend, and I do have some very strong thoughts on this, is Iranian monthly crude oil production. And the comment, I mean, this is a chart put up by George Avazian, who is an energy trader. And Iranian monthly crude oil production skyrocketing in 2024. These red numbers, right? This is the year that we're looking at in comparison to the past 2 years, and you can see in red, huge amount of Iranian production in Jan, Feb, March this year. The average is about I think that's about 3.1 million barrels a day. And why are they doing that? Well, they're trying to flood this market essentially to try and just teach the world a lesson. All right. So while OPEC is putting a massive cuts into the market, Iran has been their production has been kept down due to U.S. sanctions. However, why do we think that the U.S. sanctions were lifted by Joe Biden? Well, Joe Biden's been doing a couple of things to try and suppress the price of oil because it will be the number one inflator, all right, to the economy. He's been releasing a huge amount of oil out of the SPR. There's only about 17 days worth of U.S. national production available in the specialist petroleum reserves. All right, so Biden has been trying to fight inflation so that he looks good when it comes to votes in November into the election, right? But he's done it in a very reckless manner where they only have like a couple of days worth of production in reserves. All right. So Iran here are really just coming out of the woodwork from underneath sanctions, and they're pushing oil out the door as much as they can. But obviously they need oil revenue essentially to fund their economy, which is in the dirt at the moment. But they're back here, right? So I just thought this was an interesting chart. And then to kind of finish off on this chat about what's happened over the weekend. Ultimately, I talked about this last week. If you're look, Iran, how do we know? It just doesn't seem right that Iran were like 2 days in advance, we're going to attack you, and then they launch however many hundred, vehicles like drones into the air, and they all get shot down by UK and US air forces, and hardly anything lands a hit in Israel. And then Israel doesn't do anything, and they're being told not to do anything. I mean, it all just kind of stinks to high heaven, if you ask me. But nonetheless, these attacks happened. The defense systems were in place to cope with it, and now Israel is chomping at the bit to attack. Okay, let's look at the facts. Number one, the attack from Iran was a counterattack to the IRGC, an Iranian military facility beside their embassy in Syria, which was attacked by Israel. So this drone attack was a counterattack for that. All right. So apparently it's okay for Israel to bomb an Iranian facility out of the blue, but it's not okay, and for there to be no repercussions, and that's not against international law. But if Iran want to counterattack because of that, apparently that's against the law. All right. So, essentially Israel is like the protected daughter of the Western world at the moment, and it's total horseshit. But anyway, what is politically happening, and I texted this to a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago. I said Netanyahu is going to try and force Biden's hand coming into this election. All right, because he essentially wants to get the U.S. to commit boots on the ground or get them pulled into a conflict with Iran. Because once you get involved, you can't extract yourself just. All right, if they deploy to the Strait of Hormuz, forget about it. You're talking about $150 a barrel of oil within 20 trading sessions. If you have a marine conflict in the Straits of Hormuz, all right, that's not going to happen. You know, I'm just a little bit worked up about how this is so obvious. And I mean, David Sachs, who from the All In podcast, tweeted this, and it summed it all up. He said, Netanyahu has played Biden like a fiddle here, all right, because essentially they bombed the Iranian facility in Syria, Israel did, to then try and draw out Israel to counterattack in Tel Aviv, which is what we saw over the weekend, and it all amounted to nothing. But then Netanyahu was hoping that this would then force the US to intervene, boots on the ground, planes in the sky, which they did have, but more of a meaningful, prolonged application of their strength, right, and to get into a conflict. Because if they get into a conflict, Netanyahu's premiership will go roll on further. All right, and then he's not going to face prosecution. He's not going to have to answer any questions. It will all just be lost in the fog of war. All right, so what you've seen out of the US now is firm comments that they will not commit any more military or troops to Israel should this conflict rise, because it's now all on Netanyahu's back. Okay, so Netanyahu has really been quite quiet now in my mind, and it's going to today this cabinet meeting they're going to chit chat, but net I think they're going to back down, because if the US has told them they will not ride in behind them, then they're fucked if they draw in Israel and Hezbollah against Israel, because Israel could end up getting invaded by Hezbollah, and then the whole show is done. Okay, so I just thought this was quite interesting. Why is this important to us as we're trading and in the week ahead? Well, it's important because if there is a complete de-escalation here, and the War Council in Israel do not want to counterattack, you're going to see oil back into probably that 81s level I was talking about, which is yearly +1. All right, and that's going to be the catalyst for that. All right. However, we could have a little flirt back down to 83.50s area and then bid back on again. So you want to be really straight and clear about what is driving oil and why we're down right now. We're down right now because Netanyahu has been told not to attack. So therefore, there's no supply risk to oil. Political stability in Israel is never a supply risk to oil. Never. All right. They don't have enough oil to give a shit about. But what we do care about, as I wrote in the report, is Israel's involvement. And if they shut down the Straits of Hormuz, that is 25% of global oil consumption halted. Okay, so that's why I'm talking about 150. Anyway, let's move to the charts now and step down off of political tension. All right. But it's really important to be contextually aware. So do check it out in the VWAP report that I've got going out there. All right, what have we seen on the dollar really coming into the hot Friday we had, which is just an insane bid here. So we've hit that target 106.026 on the upside for the Dixie. Yeah, it's going to be time to rewind a little bit here. Obviously, we can easily just bid on from this sort of zone I have up here. We could obviously just bid on from here. More important level, which is the point of control for all the volume that was deployed up in and around this area, right? So that's going to be really meaningful. We could bid up here if Israel decide to come out and say no, we're gonna shoot back. We're gonna shoot back with. Then we're probably gonna end the week 107.36 up here. All right, and if they start shooting back, we're not on the doorstep of World War III anymore. That's gonna be it, because if they start shooting back, Iran is going to deploy forces from Yemen, from within Syria, from within Lebanon. It's going to be a complete mess. All right. It's going to be a complete mess, and that's going to be dollar bid. Okay, so moving through these markets here, I'm just going to have a very quick look because I have put it all in the report here. Um, so very quick look here. You've got this little bid back up. I like a bit of a test of the yearly +1 here. So I can see how if we can survive up here, and that's currently 18,366. All right, it's just coming in right around the weekly PVAH, just around there. So yeah, I'd like to see what a test up there does, and I don't think it's going to survive. And I think you could probably fade a move up here, to then get it right back down in the week. And remember, Thursday initial jobless claim this market wants to hear about, besides hearing about the Israeli war cabinet risk and whether they're going to shoot back or not. All right, so that's Nasdaq. Here on SPOOs. And just while we're talking on SPOOs, we're going to go to the VIX in a second here. But you can see pullback here now. This level has shifted a small amount. Yearly +1 is currently now at 52.20. Look for a blowout over that or a rejection from that to move back down. But I think we could stay easily rotational in and around this level until Thursday's data, and then probably look for a linchpin to come back down. I think we've already picked up sellers at the 52.46s up here, and I don't need to pick up more at time. That's going to be up here. I just need to do that. There is this point of control as well, the 52.41s. Keep an eye out on that for the high of the range selling. And obviously, if we start baselining up at 52.46s, like get a day close up there, and the risk is all forgotten. But I just can't see. All right, the Dow is about to test here, p-val 38,494s. Actually completed quite a move to the downside, actually. So we have more to go, a lot more to go. So that's gonna be your yearly half, like that there, and then this Q level is down around down around there. So if we kind of look at the shape of the Dow here, let me just kind of tidy this up back in here. Quite a lot of drawings on here. But essentially, trade back down onto the bottom here, 38.014s and a little bit lower, right? And so at the 30-minute, see, it's close, but no cigar, right? Look for a rejection up on the yearly VWAP, currently at 38.714s. I'd say we reach up here, look for a fade, and then we here yearly -1. I'm going to neutralize the 38.014s down here in the yearly -1 because I think, there'll be some buyers come in there, but I think ultimately they're going to get sold down probably over the following day. So yeah, but I think selling from up. Yeah, I mean, if we get wild, a test up here. I mean, we actually looking at previously had to occur. So here are the two areas I'd be looking to involved on the Dow this week. Actually, I'm not interested in getting involved anywhere else on the Dow. So I like though at that lower level at yearly VWAP 38.714s. All right, and then I'm not going to talk about gold really because it's like had such a rally and just had a blow off top. So now it's kind of timed down to earth, and that would be, well, at least this 22.38s on the pull. If equities start getting hammered on that, on geopolitical risk or the data, I think we're going to come down level. So that's going to be below monthly VWAP at 20. Sorry, the level is at 2020 or 23.28. All right, and then oil. All right, so we'll finish off. Sorry, I'll show you the VIX. Wanted to show you the VIX for the equities risk here. And this tells the picture that you would imagine it does. Now, this is a lot of levels on this chart, right? And I'm going to really tidy this up here, okay? But all you need to understand is the trend, the major downtrend, right? From the COVID highs, well, no, this isn't COVID highs, but we have nonetheless this trend here. And on Friday, we tipped onto that trend and then started selling. So you can see that here quite clearly. And we've turned around. All right, so that's the daily, right? So then on the 30-minute, we hit into that trend up here and back down. All right, where are we going to come back down to at the moment? That all hangs in the balance on the back of what the Israeli war cabinet want to say. So let's go on to oil to finish here. I know we've taken up quite a lot of your time on this one. That's the way it is. All right, so oil here on the daily bar chart. As I was saying, we need to kind of sort of yearly PVAH here. We just need to trade that. I was talking about, the market last week really pivoted. You can see this really pivoted around that QPVAH 85.13s to be precise. But guess what's happening today? All right. No dice. All right. See, we had a break of that level here last, what was that? Last Wednesday, yeah, FOMC, or sorry, Wednesday was NF or DOE. Then Thursday, a breach, largely bought back. Buyers have run into this market hand over fist, thinking that oil's going to a gazillion dollars a barrel. And it's just not happened because essentially way too much dumb money is run in here to try and buy this. And that provides liquidity to the downside for us to move. And that is what's happened. So I think, yeah, we could recover here, maybe test 13 low of 85.61s, look for a short there, I think, and then we bounce back. I think the sellers have already worked off the composite area value low, 86.02s, just late there on Friday. So we may not need to revisit here to pick up sellers. So I think this area here, 561s. We'll tidy this up a little bit. But targets to the downside for me, the targets would be 83. So that's it. That's it. Have a read of the report, guys and girls. It's a good one. Bonds getting sold down here. Bonds getting sold. I don't know. On the squawk. Retail sales coming out here. All right. I'll let you go. Enjoy the session. Keep it. Talk to you next week.